it falls apart on at Rangers in terms of how they go about recruiting. It seems remarkable that no matter what the position is, there always seems to be an internal candidate that seems to be the best man for the job. I suppose, in fairness, in terms of the remit that they're looking for, somebody who's done the job, experienced in it before, proven themselves in difficult circumstances, and has been able to, succeed, and is willing to come to Rangers and is affordable. There's probably not that many of those type of characters, those type of candidates about. So they've probably had to, they've had to cut one or two of those requirements from the equation, and they've landed on Nils Koppen. So, listen, I can understand the scepticism amongst the supporters. I mean, you've got a guy here who's been here a year. There's not any great evidence that what he was doing in his previous job was massively successful. Michael Beale was talking about there, get absolutely slaughtered for his summer recruitment drive. I mean, I think there's an argument to be made that this year's summer recruitment hasn't been all that much better. So what that has gone on over the summer has persuaded the board that he is now a man who deserves to have more responsibilities. Listen, we don't know what sort of conversations we've had, but I mean, even from his previous experience, he was a sort of on the scouting side, in Genk, I think it was, and then obviously PSV Eindhoven. So, what experience has he got in terms of
Andy, that's what I was going to.
Yeah,
Andy, I was going to say that to you.
The medical aspect, does he have any? Is he able to demonstrate that he's got a vision? He's got an ability to get a grasp of the major issues at the club. We don't know. I mean, I've been able to grab the odd wee word with him here and there when we're sort of travelling about with the team. But in terms of a proper on the record sit down grilling, we've not been afforded that yet. I think the fans would like to see that. They'd like to see him face some proper tough questions. Answer why, when during the summer there was a crying out for a striker, they decided to spend the little money they had on a project player. Why were they able to recoup so little of the money that they spent in the summer in terms of getting guys out? It was $800,000 for 4 or 5 players that they sold in the summer. So I think there's some big questions to be asked there, and it'd be interesting to see if he could provide the answers for them, but we obviously haven't had that opportunity yet.
Andy, you said right at the start there that he's done the job previously. You'll need to excuse my ignorance on this, but has he?
No, that's what I'm saying. He hasn't done the job previously. He's done He's done one aspect of it. He was a scout in his previous employment.
That's right. That's right. He's a kind of glorified scout.
Recruitment work, and he's part of that is dealing with agents, dealing with players, dealing with the contract side of it. But this is a role that is hugely more all-encompassing. You're talking about dealing with the youth academy, the medical department, the scouting network, the whole structure, the whole football structure now comes under his remit. And where is the evidence that he's got the skill set required? As I say, because of the state the club's in, no chairman, no CEO, just the doldrums that they're in, are they able to attract? They're able to go out and attract a top caliber, candidate for that? Clearly not, because they've had to look within. It's the same. They're struggling to get a chairman in. They're struggling to get a CEO in. This is a club right now that is struggling to get fill key vacancies, and I think this is why they're now having to look in-house.
It seems crazy, right? Basically, Nils Koppen, you've got one job. He's now got, I don't know how many jobs, but Nils Koppen had one job, and he's not been very good at that. And now you're going to give him the keys to the whole castle. It's madness, Andy. It's madness. And you're right. You're so right that this is sort of repeat cycle at Rangers where astonishingly every time they go and try to fill a position, they only discover later that they had already had best-in-class candidate inside the building. They did it with
it's James Bisgrove again.
Yeah, it's extraordinary.
It's going for an ex-player in Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. It's going for an ex-assistant in Michael Beale. It's when you're looking for a transfer list, it's a number of the targets on our transfer list that were 2 or 3 years old. I mean, I think the fans are right to be asking, where's the imagination? I mean, it looked like when they appointed Clement and they appointed Koppen. That was them finally, looking beyond the
borders.
horizons, something that's not right on their doorstep, going out and find somebody that's, has no association with the club, frankly. And that, you applaud them for that. Finally, that after a long time of sort of being very insular in terms of how they appointed people, they were going out and looking further afield. But now this just seems like a move backwards to that. And, obviously in his interview yesterday, Koppen's talking about there's still going to be changes to recruitment. So I wonder if he's going to go out and have to recruit somebody to replace himself. That'll be interesting to see. But all these sort of things are on hold until they get the big appointments made. And, we're still talking about, when did James Bisgrove leave the club? May, I think it was. So we're now talking, 6 months down the line. John Bennett was August, September time. So 3-4 months still waiting for a chairman. I think the fans are well within the right to be wondering, what's going on? How long does it take to get a guy? And I understand that they might say, right, okay, if it's a CEO, if he's already in position at another big company, there's notice periods to be served. But there's been no indication yet for anyone at the club that they're at any point, they're at any stage ready to make that appointment and to make an announcement. No whispers of that whatsoever. So, I think that's, again, you're coming up to January, there's lots of big decisions to be made. You're asking John Bennett and George Lethcombe, who, in absolute fairness, have come in and are, trying to spread themselves so thin and cover every base. But, these are guys that are not permanent appointments. And, again, I think the fans have every right to be asking questions about why they're in this position.
Can I float a theory?
On you go.
Please do.
If I'm John Gilligan and I'm in the chairman's seat in a caretaker capacity and I'm coming increasingly under fire, under pressure, and less impressed with the job that the manager's doing, but I'm the caretaker chairman, I might be very reluctant / hesitant to make a decision which would require a guy getting paid off, which is money that Rangers don't have, and then going and finding a replacement candidate. And so the firing and the hiring of the Rangers manager, if I'm in a caretaker capacity as a chairman, I might not think I fancy getting involved in that. If, however, I've got a CEO coming in, that's fine, because I know he's coming in, he can deal with that. But if there's no sign of a CEO and there's no sign of a full-time chairman coming in, if I can make this appointment, I can make this guy seem like he's the guy that's making the decisions. And I just wonder if this kind of reassignment for Nils Koppen gives him the authority, the position, the authority to pull the trigger on a manager. I just wonder. I wonder if this is a mechanism that has been set up in order to take care of what would need to happen, what becomes inevitable if December goes the way that many, including myself, thinks it will for Rangers. Which is badly, by the way, just in case you weren't clear.
Got that. It's obviously an issue that stirs, passionate responses amongst Rangers fans. Let me hit you with a couple now. Rangers Easy OK, I feel a bit sorry for Koppen in a way, because the fans do not trust anything the board does. It's nothing personal against him, but the board have no credit in the bank. I think some of his signings this summer will stand the test of time. Yefte, Barron, Bajrami and Cherny all look decent, but the team isn't being coached properly. Now, look, there's this comment here, you can see it, Keith, there on the right-hand side, from Dennis Mirren, right?
Right, hold on, I can't see it without my specs on, can I?
Well, I'll put it up, but I love the passion, right? But look at the size of that.
All right.
It's like Moby Dick.
Yeah.
But I'll put it up there for a second. The way this club, he is, I know him to be a Rangers fan, he's a regular on the Hotline Live. He says, 2002 Mark II's in the cards. The press constantly questions Clement's ability. Why the hell are the press not bothering? That as things stand, the current board in my club is in dire state. Nobody apart from the fans gives...
Wait a minute, hold on, stop, right, pause, right, because it's quite long, right, so let's take this in segments.
Oh, sorry, let me just skip to the end.
Why the hell are the press not bothering? I don't think Dennis is paying attention.
I'm 64. This is the worst I've seen my club run ever. Is that fair? Probably not. I'd say. 2012 was pretty rough.
I think 2000. Yeah, I think the Craig White and Charles Green scorched earth years were probably pretty poor. No, look, do you know what? I think that's important actually to say that. It's a good point. these guys that are in there just now, they are full of good intentions. I have absolutely no doubt about that. And they all deserve their share of the credit for picking the club up from where it was, where these charlatans had left it previously.